the voices of Kinetic Affect.
Hello, WMU. Someone was like, hey, what's up? Okay, so Gabriel and I, we're poets.
Settle down, calm down, yes, calm down, yep.
Those are pity claps. Yeah, and so talk about taking a risk. When we talk about thinking about taking these positive risks in our life. You know, I was a teacher, and I left my job. Lost my house, lost my car, and took a risk to follow my heart. All because really, genuinely, this community and this school believed that I could be a poet. Everyone else was like, that's pretty stupid, but okay. And if you want to be a wizard, they'll back you up. That person that I always wanted to be a wizard. Okay.
At the same time that Kirk decided to leave his job to pursue a full-time profession as a spoken word poet, I was finishing up my undergraduate degree here at WMU, and I had an opportunity to go to Columbia College in Chicago on a full-ride scholarship to get my master's degree, and I decided to turn that down to pursue a career in poetry. So we're here to talk to you because we're motivated by money, obviously.
And we're going to tell you that you need to leave your job and education in order to survive. Totally joking. Settle down.
Don't worry, guys.
Okay, seriously though, taking risk, every day, positive risk that you know is where your heart lies, is not easy.
It's going to lead you to struggle. But we believe that's when you face struggle, when you face adversity, that you find out the true character of who you are.
Have any of you ever been through a struggle in your life? Okay, so like 5 of you. That's great, excellent. Well, I'm promising you something. You cannot grow and you cannot love this life and embrace the opportunities you have here at this school until you know what it means to be challenged.
We've faced some serious struggles along the way to pursue our passion and our career, but we've also had some amazing opportunities because of it.
Have any of you ever heard of a show called America's Got Talent? Yes? Yes. Well, these two guys from WMU beat out 250,000 people in Chicago, got flown out to California, got to be on that show. I do not like David Hasselhoff, but it was still cool. And we actually did really well. We went as far as any spoken word poetry act has ever gone before, but we did end up eventually losing, I'm not gonna lie, to a burlesque group.
True story.
So I'm thinking if we did like stripping poetry, we would have done great, right? Stop it! Stop it! Inappropriate.
But because of those struggles, we've pushed harder and we've kept on because we knew that we could come back. And a few years ago, we had an amazing opportunity when the 5th largest foundation in the world, which currently lies right in our back pocket in Battle Creek, Michigan, came to us and said, we know that you guys have been through struggle in your life and we love the way that you talk about it. We know that Michigan right now is going through struggle and we need to hear something different because every time we turn on the media, every time we open a newspaper, all we hear is about how negative our education system is, our government, but you guys travel the state, you guys travel the country every single week. You know how amazing it is here. Will you help us write the official poem for Michigan?
And I was thinking, okay, so the 5th largest foundation in the world wants 2 ex-juvenile delinquents to write the poem for Michigan. Hell yes, thank you. We'll take that job. And so we did.
We're going to perform that poem for you to open with, to give you an example of what it is that we do in honor of you, in honor of our state, and in honor of this amazing Alma Mater. Because we all know what a cliche is.
It's something that at one time used to be novel, but has been so overused that it's lost its original meaning.
Like when life hands you lemons.
Make lemonade.
And right now there are people in our own country trying to make my state,
your state,
our state, into a cliche. And I'm beginning to think we've forgotten our original meaning.
Forgotten who we are.
What we're made of.
And what we believe in. We are a state that doesn't need to wait for life to throw us lemons.
Because we've got enough local farmers to grow our own.
And we don't need any sweetener. See, here in Michigan,
we know how to bite down on bitter times. I believe in a pure Michigan, surrounded by one of the largest freshwater sources in the world.
But filled with the saltwater sweat of those who keep it flourishing.
We are the cradle of life, neatly perched somewhere on this mitten
or scarf
we call home. And right now we're about here.
This is your hometown, man.
Sorry.
Come on, there you go. Here. But when we sing the national anthem, we are the ones closest to everyone's heart. I believe in a Michigan where the people know how to use
this, as well as this, and where every child deserves more than a great education, but a reason to wake up and go
to a place where teachers are more valued for the gift they provide to our children.
Because we don't just produce amazing automobiles and fill your bowls with cereal in the morning. We produce children with piston-powered minds and give them red wings so that one day they can teach their own children how to fly.
Across sleeping bear dunes or underneath Detroit overpasses.
We believe in a Michigan that can hold us up with the strength of 100 pictured rocks.
Even while the Dow Jones crumbles around us, we have been weathered by the worst storms and been carved out by glaciers over millennia.
I believe in a Michigan that is green and blue
and bright.
Where over 150 lighthouses will make sure that no one is ever left out in the dark.
A Michigan where no matter how far out you go, you will always be guided back to shore.
Because we are the brightest star on the flag,
wrapped up in the blue waters of our beliefs.
And we believe in a Michigan that has 5 seasons:
autumn,
winter,
spring,
summer, and road work. But don't worry, if you don't like the weather,
just wait 10 minutes,
it'll change. And that's the beauty of being here, in a state that is too alive to stay still, too proud to stand still.
While everyone gives up around us.
We are Michigan, Michiganders, a state that is stunningly beautiful, born from fire and ice.
A survivor of natural and human disaster that has pushed us forward even when we have wanted so badly to hold back.
It is not a warm and fuzzy mitten.
It is an open hand slap to the face.
A reminder that even though we are surrounded by water, we are not an island. We were never alone. We are more than a state song or boundary lines, and we are definitely more than a cliche, because I have not forgotten our original meaning. And our state has a warrior's name worth remembering.
It comes from the Ojibwe,
Michigama,
meaning great water.
And we believe that our ancestors knew something we've forgotten, a belief. That you never give up on an underdog.
That family comes first.
And that home is where the heart is. We believe that we will never forget who we are. We believe
that we will never forget what we're made of.
And most importantly, we believe that we will never forget that Michigan deserves to be believed in. We're going to do one more piece before we get out of here, but before we do that, we want to tell you a little bit about ourselves.
When I met this guy, we were competing against each other, and I didn't like him. I mean, look at him. I call him a thug teddy bear. He kind of has a combination of 2 personas, like a very approachable gangsta. Okay. But seriously, right? We both have appearances about ourselves just like you do. When you come here, when you came to this school, you brought with you who you are. You brought with you what other people might see just by looking at you, but you also brought a story of who you truly and really are. Because it is way too easy to make snap judgments. I made snap judgments about him at the age of 26 when I met him. And I missed out on what was a story that would change my life, because believe it or not, if Gabriel were to take off his shirt, don't worry, it's not that kind of show. Some of you are like, damn. But if he were, what you'd see is what looks like one scar that starts at the top of his chest plate and travels all the way down past his navel. I've never seen a scar like this on a body that was alive before. I mean, it looks like you had an autopsy. And I know that he knows when he looks in the mirror every day, he is reminded of the fact that he is lucky to be here, that he was lucky to come here, that we're lucky to be on the stage today. Will you tell them about it?
So I'm a little bit jealous of you, because when I was your age, I didn't have this same opportunity. I grew up kind of tough in New York, moved around a lot. My parents got divorced when I was young, and from 7 to 10, I went to 4 different schools in 4 years before finally landing here in Michigan. I'll save you the details, but let's just say I was not a very happy kid. And a lot of that anger led me into some paths in my life that could have been extremely detrimental. I got introduced into drugs and alcohol when I was 13, started running with gangs. When I was 14, I started selling drugs. By the time I was 16, I had people working for me selling drugs.
You sound like an entrepreneur.
I guess you could say I had that entrepreneurial spirit. But I had some things happen in my life that really helped shape my understanding of where I was headed to. My best friend growing up in high school is right now serving 18 to 42 years in a level 4 maximum security prison here in Michigan. And that's where I was headed. A lot of my other friends ended up either dead or in jail. When I was 18 years old, I decided to join a different gang. 3 days after I turned 18, I enlisted in the US Army. 7 months later, I found myself stationed overseas in Germany with a promotion handed to me. The stipulation was I had to pass a physical. They took blood work, had me go through some extensive tests. Doctor called me into his office, sat me down and said, "Gabriel, I have some bad news. I think you have cancer." I was 18. I was your age. They sent me to the major clinic the next day, confirmed that I had cancer. Thursday, I had my first surgery. Saturday, they sent me back to the United States to Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks for checkups. The following Monday, the doctors came in and said, "Gabriel, we have more bad news. Your CAT scan results came back, and it revealed to us that not only did you have cancer, but it spread throughout your entire body. You have a 14 by 6 centimeter mass of cancer in your abdomen. It's moved behind your lungs, into your neck, working its way towards your brain. If it had been another month before we found this, there would have been nothing we could do. You'd be as good as dead. We have to start chemotherapy tomorrow." I went through 4 cycles of chemotherapy, 4 major procedures, 4 major surgeries, and about 36 minor procedures over the course of 3 years. But the irony of the whole thing was that one of the surgeries that I had was on September 10th of 2001 in Washington, D.C., 6 months into my battle with cancer. The next 2.5 years I spent being surrounded by people who were coming back fighting for our country. And the one thing that they don't tell you on the news is that an injury could mean that they came back without legs or arms. Or there was one guy in my platoon who had 90% body burns over his entire body. He was the lone survivor of an explosion where all of his friends died. And I realized that no matter how bad that I had it, I was lucky. 3 years later, when I got my clean bill of health and they sent me on my way, they gave me one more bit of bad news that shaped the way that I approached the rest of my life. They said, "Gabriel, because of how far your cancer was progressed and the aggressive treatment that we had to put you under, you have a 65% chance of getting leukemia in the next 15 or 20 years." I was 21 when they told me that. I'm 32 now. That means that in 4 years, thank you. That means that in 4 years, that window is going to be vastly approaching me. And it made me realize when people started asking me, "What are you going to do? What do you want to be when you get out of here?" that the answer was very simple, because all I wanted to do was be happy. And so I came back home to Kalamazoo, and the one thing I always wanted to do ever since I was 5, but everybody told me I was crazy for wanting to do it, was to be a writer. But the difference is I didn't have the same window of time that you all do. I knew that my time was probably going to be shortened, and I wanted to spend it doing something that I love. So I barely got into Western because I had this amazing story to tell. Here's a kid who graduated from high school with a 2.2 GPA, and I stayed here for 4 years doing what I loved, going to class, and I ended up graduating from Western with a 3.8 GPA as one of the presidential scholars of my department. But here was the best part of all. Because of the amazing culture that thrives in a city this small, one of my friends said, "You really have to check out this thing called slam poetry. You got to go here and hear this. It's amazing. It'll change your life." And I went in, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love this. I have to do this." And I tried to qualify for the national team. I ended up making it to the semifinal bout, and in walked this loudmouth, crazy white boy in a dress shirt and tie. That's him. And I judged him. I said, "Here's somebody that I'm going to have nothing in common with. Here's somebody who I have to beat to win this competition." And the irony was we both competed against each other to make the same team and represent Michigan at nationals. But if I had let my judgments stop me from being open to meeting someone new, to trying something different, 8 years later, this man standing to my left would not be the best man at my upcoming wedding, and someone who has helped me follow my dreams and do something that I love every day. I also like
to believe I'm the best thing that's ever happened to him. And I know, honestly, see, you would have missed out on an amazing story, right, if you had never heard, if he never took the time to tell you. So imagine the amount of stories around you that are just not told. See, but I know what you were thinking when you looked at me when I stepped up here. I could see it on your faces. You were thinking, man, he's perfect. Yeah, okay. Some of the faculty are like, sure, whatever you want to believe, right? Okay, maybe not. But what we like to do and how we like other people to see us is as perfect. Please don't see my scars. Please don't see the difficulty I've had in my life, because I just feel ugly when you do. And so when he had the courage to share his story, I began to realize that as much as I was an adult, a male, a man, a grown-up, I still was hiding who I was. Because I also have scars like many of you, but guess where they are? On my heart and on my mind. They are not so visible. I had a tough upbringing too. I was raised in Detroit, and it was not so easy in my family. We were poor, and so I've always tried to dress myself up as something more than just a little gutter boy like I always felt I was. I was always told I would never amount to anything. They labeled me as learning disabled in school. You know what? This made me angry, so I became violent and aggressive, and I started hurting people. And most of all, I was hurting myself. But something happened my senior year of high school. See, I went to Henry Ford II High School. Any of you from there? Well, great. Well, you and me, man. In 1998, when I graduated, 5 of my friends took their lives in a 3-month time period. We became known as Suicide High by national news. And my best friend at that time, who I ran with, like his friend, ended up in prison. See, but my friend, he died in prison 3 years ago. Do you want to know? You want to know what you are to me? You are a blessing. You truly are, and to them, you are a blessing. Every empty seat that you see in here could be filled with people your age who didn't make it here today. Do you know that? Want to know why I'm so loud? Because when I speak, I have the voices of 5 of my dead friends. No, I'm sorry, 6 now behind me who speak with me. Because I stand here today, was given an opportunity to go to school and make something of myself. And like him, I did too. My GPA was a little bit higher. It was a 3.99. Okay? Not quite a 4.0. But I also received scholarships. I grew. Call me learning disabled. I'll show you I just think differently than you. That's who I am. That's what this school gave me a chance to do, is stand up for myself and now follow my dreams and my passion. And now I will not close my eyes to this life. And I hope that you don't either.
So we're going to close with one final piece that's just a reminder for Kirk and I that we are grateful to be here. We're blessed to be here in front of you, that you guys have your whole future in front of you. And if you haven't experienced some struggle now, you will. At some point, you're going to want to give up. For me, it was about halfway through my battle with cancer. I was emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, completely exhausted. And I called my father on the phone. I told him that I just wanted to go. I didn't even want to put any effort into it. I just wanted to fall asleep and not wake up. And he told me a bit of advice that I want to relay to you, and he said, son, I'm going to tell you something, and I don't know if you'll understand it right now, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. I believe this to be very true for my life. He said, things happen to you in your life to help you see something that you've been missing. And if you close your eyes right now, that message is going to have to replay itself over and over and over again to you until you open your eyes. So while you're at your worst, while you're struggling the most, open your eyes and pay attention and be in this moment. And it was what led me to realize that being happy and doing something that I love with my life was far more important than what anybody else had ever told me before.
So we want you to know that you can follow us on something you've heard of Facebook before, right? Instagram, Twitter, we're on those. How many of you do Pinterest? Good. We don't do that.
We don't.
So with that, again, it was our honor.
This is our last piece.
You only live once.
Those are the words I had tattooed across my back when I was 17.
And he thought he knew everything.
Well, at least I got that one right, because today
I want to live. And I don't want to give you any suicidal rhetoric
about how I never get why these things always happen to me when I haven't even lived long enough to experience what life
is truly about.
Hell, even I know that my views will change enough
So the me at 50 would want to sit down
and talk to the me at 40 who would in turn
would want to give an earful to the me of today.
And even though I love him, if I ever met that stubborn kid I called myself at the age of 17, I would be tempted to kick
His ass.
But today I want to live. I want to fall in love at first sight and feel that rush
Of embarrassment as I walk up to her.
stumbling over my syllables just so I can tell her how beautiful she is.
And I want to kiss the lips of some lovely lady
who would leave me looking down on cloud nines like they were little cotton balls,
and experience the sheer ecstasy of her waking up next to
so
me.
I could tell her just how much I worship the ground she floats on. Today I want to live. I want to thank my mother for 9 months of stretch and 36 hours of labor.
Just to give birth to someone who will put her through another
18 years of the same crap. I want to call my father and tell him that even though he left us,
I love the man that he has grown to be.
and today I can say in all honesty that he is my best friend. Today I want to live.
I want to love life like she never heard me.
And give thanks for all that I have been given, born into more blessings than I will ever truly know.
I want to strip down until I'm completely naked.
Natural in every way, like the day I was born. Kept warm by the sun, I'm energized, and I can laugh at my nakedness. Hell, I'm just happy to be alive.
I want to stand barefoot on the ground and feel my feet sink
deep into Mother Nature. She truly is mi madre, that makes me 1/4 Hispanic,
1/4 Cherokee,
plus half Earth, which means we are all truly related. And I want to be around long enough to watch my whole family grow. So today I want to live.
How do you follow that?